This is Living Healthy with Your Health Potential, where we explore your options for better health. Brought to you in association with The Woman in You.
Hi, welcome to Living Healthy. I'm your host, Sheryl Worthington Turgeon. In America, our culture is experiencing unprecedented increases in obesity, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune disease, and other chronic conditions. But what is behind this trend? Sometimes it helps to look at how others live to see what we could be doing better. Today, we'll be talking to healer, lecturer, and spiritual leader, Annaita Gandhy. A divinely guided healing medium, Annaita is trained in Reiki, Reflexology, holistic health, meditation, and Numerology, and has utilized her skills in extensive service to the poor and destitute in hospitals and slums in India. She currently hosts empowerment workshops in Connecticut. Welcome, Annaita.
Thank you. Lovely to be here, Sheryl. Thank you for having me.
Western culture is really experiencing unprecedented instances of obesity, diabetes, heart disease. What do you think is behind this trend?
Firstly, the way of life. The way of life is so fast. There's such a sense of competition. Each one wants to outdo the other one. That puts stress. There's so much anxiety and the pressure. Mm-hmm. You don't need to go far to see other aspects. You walk into any grocery store. Almost everything that you find has sugar in it, has salt in it, preservatives. How are people ever going to be healthy? You know?
So what would you suggest people start to do differently?
There has to be education. And there has to be healthy food available for people, essentially. And I would take it beyond that. An awareness, a choice in how they approach their life and their health. Currently, people just go. It's the herd mentality.
Good point.
You know? So we need to come more into each one making a conscious choice and knowing what they're buying, knowing what they're putting in their mouth. But also there's no need for people to walk, except in large cities like in Manhattan and Boston. Most people drive, or they're in a train. So there's a very sedentary life, unless you go to a gym or, you know, have some active schedule. But just every day walking in itself works off all the calories that you eat.
And helps with stress.
And helps with stress, you know, and it helps you all over.
You know, I understand that you do a healthy regimen for your skin. And I know you use whole foods. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Firstly, I never put soap on my face. We somehow never did. And using natural products, foods, oatmeal is excellent. So a paste of oatmeal and honey and water and maybe a little bit of flaxseed lightly ground, you know, from the outside. But the skin is actually an indication of what's happening inside.
For example, if you have acne, what would that be indicating?
It could be either the hormonal changes within you, or stress, a lot of stress, worry, a little bit of irritation and anger, you know, these things erupt in the skin. Some acne, which is teenage related, is more the hormones and also the emotional issues that the person is dealing with at that time. It's always related to your emotions and your mental state. So,
and in terms of illness, how do you view illness then? Is that also related to emotion?
yes, yes, very much so. Of course, added to that is the what we're eating and putting in our mouth, you know. But definitely a lot of illness is how we feel about ourselves, our belief structure, the anger that we carry, and the regrets that we have, the choice not to deal with certain things, you know. So they all come out at a later date.
Annaita, I'd be interested in hearing how your view of illness differs from that of Western medicine.
Well, vastly. Western medicine strives to cure from the outside, as opposed to conventional, I don't know what to call it, because, you know, I think all other Eastern and ancient cultures, not just Eastern, but ancient cultures, understood that true healing happens from within. Mm-hmm. And the medications are there to support the system rather than to just take over.
That's a big difference.
Yes. Yes. So in Western medicine, that's one of the initial issues about it. You know, we give up responsibility for our role in health, and we expect a doctor or a medication or a procedure to fix the problem.
Right.
So we go in, okay, fix me. And the difference is that true healing can only happen when we take control. So I would say, in a nutshell, it's our responsibility to ourselves.
So when someone comes to see you and they have a concern, what would you advise them to do, and how would you help them?
It depends, firstly, where I start would depend on where they are on the scale of, you know, awareness and severity, because we have to treat the whole body. And I may start at an energetic level with Reiki, or I may not. I may start at a counseling level. But it's essential to first hear the patient, the client, and have them share. And then you know where you have to go. There's no first, second, third, fourth, fifth. You can't just say that this is the order in which we have to function and that's it. But looking at their issues, once you speak to them, I get a sense of what is troubling them, the deeper issues. And then from there, try to get into the root cause.
Which is usually, I imagine, buried pretty deeply.
Very deeply. Most are buried so deeply that people are either not aware, or they have forgotten, or they just don't want to look at it.
That must be difficult to break through.
It is. It is. And so sometimes people don't come back. But people who are committed will make the effort. And it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, especially if you're really, if you're disturbed, if you're caught in that vice of the system. To break out of the system takes a lot of courage. It takes being fed up totally with where you are. You know, as long as things are working, sort of, you try and muddle through. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. But counseling is essential. Sometimes taking them through forgiveness exercises, helping them to see how they still carry wounds or fears that they haven't been able to overcome.
And what did the forgiveness exercises do for them?
It releases them. It gives them permission to go on. And it's not only forgiving something that someone else did, but it's forgiving oneself and giving permission to yourself to live, to let go of baggage, to let go of guilt, to let go of blame, to let go of the need for approval. It covers everything. Because most of our insecurities and fears come from a desire to live up to someone else's standard. So that's where it links into the culture, that there is such a strong expectation to live up to what is right and what is accepted, and the system, what the system demands. So that in itself is putting pressure on the person. Everyone isn't born in a mold. Everyone is unique. But the system doesn't allow for this uniqueness.
That's true.
You know, the Western culture has created a form by which living is acceptable. This is an acceptable life. This is an acceptable way of life. And if you differ, you are not normal.
Right.
And that is why today we are seeing many things that are not considered normal, because they are challenging us to address what is normal.
So in these turbulent times, with an economic crisis, with climate change, with so many issues happening around the world, how does one stay balanced and healthy?
There are ways to do that. One has to come into a sense of belief in oneself, where you're not threatened by everything that's happening. This is where our connection as spirit is important. You know, as long as we feel that we are being flung around by the events of the world, people, governments, whatever, we are going to be hurled through terrific turbulence, and we'll feel that turbulence. But working through one's issues, working through your own fears, getting your own confidence is essential to being able to stand in balance firmly while the rest of the world may be collapsing around you.
So you're basically learning to be in the eye of the
storm. So that's why if you believe that you are the center of the universe, as I believe each one of us is the center of the universe, and then we can change ourselves. We can't change each other. I can't change you. Mm-hmm. But I can change myself. And that's where, again, Western medicine has no understanding of that.
So changing yourself and the impact of that on the rest of the world, how does that play out?
Amazingly. Changing ourselves is changing our perspective. You know, and it's looking at who we are differently from new eyes, from a connection of understanding oneness, connecting that to not just oneness of all human beings, but oneness with Earth, oneness with all life on Earth and all life beyond Earth. We belong to a solar system, to a galaxy. We are not just isolated beings flying around the place. Mm-hmm. There is an energetic connection. And so this understanding, once it's in place, then I know that when I change how I view things, that will change, because what affects me affects them. What affects them affects me. If someone is going through hardship, it will affect me. If there are people in poverty, it will affect all of us. Similarly, what we do affects them. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, in various ways. So by changing ourselves, we change what we put out. We change the energy we put out, we change the way we think, we change the choices we make. Those choices affect other things on a personal level, corporate level, government level, every level. So when we make a change, it has the ripple effect. We're living unconsciously, most people, just doing things from habit, from routine, and because we've always done it without questioning. So coming into a conscious awareness is the first step to really understanding, you know. And then when you can understand, then you can go forward and take charge.
And what are some practices that either you have in your own life to increase your awareness, increase your balance, that you would recommend for others?
There is one thing I think that really is very, very effective, and that is meditation. Meditation has many far-reaching effects on every level. It helps us come into balance, and it helps us to settle the stress and let go of it. And when we do that, other things start coming into order. You know, the act of meditation settles us, puts us into a slightly more relaxed state. And when we are in that state, the alpha state, stress peels off like onion skin. So it's not how much you meditate, but how effective the rest of the day is. The idea is not to sit and meditate the whole day, but that 20 minutes or 1 hour should have a result on the rest of the day which are beneficial and will. And the more you meditate, not only do you experience the physical benefits, but the quality of your life changes. You're more perceptive to your inner voice. You begin to look at life differently. And it connects you with your spirit self, ultimately. Stronger and stronger every time, you know. So that connection allows you to let go a lot of past baggage and current baggage. So on many levels, this works wonders. And meditation is free. Everyone has access to meditation. You just have to sit and meditate. You know?
Any other practices that you would recommend?
Simple, conscious eating and walking, you know, daily activity. But apart from that, I think what is essential right now is for each one to be passionate about what they do. Live in a positive frame of mind. Joy has immense benefits. And we hear loosely, you know, people will say, love is everything, love is everything. Yes, but love is everything. When we feel joyful about something, what's happening is that it's raising our energetic level. And that is when optimum creativity happens on every level, on the mental level as well as on the physical level. Cells regenerate, so your skin then is renewed, your organs are strengthened and regenerate. Everything starts healing because they are alive. When you feel happy and you laugh, don't you feel alive?
Oh, yes.
So our cells feel the same way. They are as much part of us as anything. They're not just cells. They are very, very important aspects of who we are, and they respond to our emotions all the time. So if we believe that things are dull and hopeless, the cells then reflect the same message. So to regenerate yourself and to live, be happy. When we are happy, we put our best into what we do. When we put our best into what we do, it just has wonderful results. And so what we receive is positive.
It's really life-generating life.
It is life-generating life, and that's our purpose. Our purpose here is to live, not exist. Our purpose here is not to just struggle through one day, wake up, and then make it through the day, rush, 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 and go to sleep at night, exhausted, and then I have to wake up at 6 o'clock. No, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to live, to explore, and to discover who we are from the wonder of it. So it's important to love what we do and to do what we love. And if someone feels that today they don't have a choice to do what they love, at least begin by loving what you do. Because that's where we can make the shift. We can take that to a new level by bringing in a new energy. So really we complicate our lives, but it is so simple if you break it down.
Mm-hmm. How did we get so far off the path?
Ego. Ego and materialism. And I do believe that the last millennium was to explore the ego in its totality.
Okay.
And now this new millennium is a time for us to come into our spirit power and acknowledge that the ego, yes, it's there, but it has limitations. Ego is necessary, but it has a function. And spirit, if we allow spirit to lead us, to guide us, ego will be in check.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we would have the same conditions or the same obstacles or problems, and you approach them from a spiritual perspective, from an understanding of who we are, greater sense of that, and not for self-gain, not for personal gain, then we can never go wrong.
That's our compass.
That's our compass. So this really is the age from living from the heart, for living from the heart.
Annaita, I really want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's been wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Sheryl. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you'll come again.
I'd love to. Yes.
For more information on Annaita Gandhy, visit www.annaitagandhi.com. You can also contact her at 860-788-2214 or email her at annaitagandhi@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Sheryl Worthington Turgeon. We'll see you next time on Living Healthy.